Hey everyone, Mr. Hayden here. So I wanted to show you the code that we went over the other day regarding creating sprites that randomly shoot out from the right and have random characteristics like speed, like the image they use, and then like how frequently they appear. So let's look at it. So I have one car class. Although for this car, the cars are what come out at the player. So when I start it, I should have some cars coming out. There we go. Okay, so notice they're coming kind of randomly and at random speeds. Boy, there's one that's going really slowly. And we're using different images. I think I have 3 different car images. For some reason it seems to be favoring the black and blue, but I'm not quite 100% sure why. But here's what the code looks like. So this all revolves around creating random numbers in Greenfoot. So there's one formula for creating random numbers, and it's greenfoot.getRandomNumbers. And then what's in parentheses is basically how many consecutive integers you want to choose from. And the number is always going to be one more than the actual number that might be generated. So when I put greenfoot.getRandomNumber10, it could generate anything from a 0 to a 9. Okay, so here is my car class, and notice that I'm going to need a constructor method for the car class. So the constructor method always begins with the word public, and then the name of the class, exactly as it is up here, and then parentheses. Okay, so I also created a private variable called car speed, and that's going to be an int. All right, so when I generate a car, so the constructor of car gets called when I say car c equals new car over in my world. Okay, this gets called and it's going to assign a random speed to the car object that's being created. Car speed equals greenfoot.getRandomNumber10 plus 1. So I'm guessing maybe that one time that we saw a really, really slow car, maybe it had generated a 10 or a 0, and it was basically only going to be going 1 pixel, 60 pixels per second. Okay, and then I also did something else. I generated a second random number with a local int variable here that's between either 0, 1, or 2. And then I have an if statement that says, okay, if it's 0, make the image of my car be car.png, else if it's 1, make the image of my car be car2.png, else if it's 3, make the image of my car be car3.png. Now, in your game, you might not necessarily need to use different images for the sprites that are coming at the player-controlled character. So for the NPCs, I guess we should call them. But you may want to create a different speed or a different motion behavior for those cars, or your sprites. So then in the act method, what do? I do my world equals my world get world, and once again, everybody should have this as the first line of code in your act method because that lets your code access the world that this car object or whatever actor object it is lives in. So then I have world.getGameState.equals running. If that's the case, set location get x minus car speed, comma, get y. So this car speed is going to be different for each car. So as a result, the cars are going to go at different speeds. Okay, so that's the car class. And then over in my world, I need to I created the car spawner code. So the car spawner code is going to run, let's see, in my case, it's only going to run when the game is running. All right, and it is pretty straightforward. I need two variables, one called spawn count and one called spawn time. Okay, and I declare those up where I declare all my other variables for my world. And they're going to be, oh, I don't know why game state is not private. It should be. So all these variables should be private. Okay, so I have spawn count and spawn time. So spawn count is going to be constantly counting up to a number every time the act method executes. And when it finally reaches the magic number, it's going to create a new car just off the right edge of the screen and send it flying, get it. And as soon as that car is created and added to the world, which is done in my world, as you'll see, the car starts flying off the screen. Okay. So let's see. I have public void act. Well, actually, before that, in the constructor of my world, I have two lines of code. Spawn count equals 0, and then I did spawn time equals 120 plus greenfoot.getRandomNumber 61. So greenfoot.getRandomNumber 61 generates a random number between 0 and 60. Then I add that to 120. So now I'm going to have a random number somewhere between 120 and 180, because this will be between 0 and 60. I add it to 180 or 120, and so the minimum spawn time is going to be 120 and the maximum is going to be 180. Okay, so here we go. Here is the key, the few lines of code that you need. Spawn count plus plus, if spawn count equals spawn time, add object, new car, get width plus 50, 7 times get height divided by 8. Then I set spawn count back to 0, and I generate a new random spawn time. Okay, and I'm going to do one more thing. I'm going to add the car to a random height position vertically on the screen. Okay, and even though it doesn't necessarily make a sense for this game because you want the cars on the road, in yours you may want your sprites or your NPCs come flying at him from any height on your game. So instead of 7/8 times get height, I'm going to use greenfoot.get random number get height. Okay, so that's going to generate a random number between 0 and the height of the car, the height of the screen. And now when I run my game, I should see cars flying at me from any vertical position on the screen. So let's try running it, and hopefully, let's see, I have an error here. Go to my error. Let's see. New car, get width. Oh yeah, I'm missing one. There we go. Okay. Well, now what is it not liking? Undeclared method, Greenfoot. Oh, I misspelled random. Okay, so now let's try it. I think maybe I'm not spawning them quickly enough. Oh, I forgot to press S to start. There we go. And now they're coming flying at me from pretty much all directions. Right. Now, one of the things that is a challenge is you want to make your game playable. So sometimes you have to tweak how random things actually are, because it's possible to make your game completely unplayable by having so many sprites come at the user-controlled sprite that it's not possible to win, or it's not possible to escape them. So that's one of the tricky things you're going to have to look into. But aside from that, that's how you make your random sprites for your side-scrolling game. All right,